I had a group of women that were in their late 30s, early 40s, and they were struggling with their health. And I kept trying to change their food and trying to get them to get over sugar addictions and eating, rushing out, like grabbing some food and rushing out on the go. And so when I was studying fasting for this patient, Lanny, and just like really learning what fasting was capable of, I sort of changed the conversation with these mama bears. And I was like, okay, how about you just eat whatever you want, but I'm going to ask that you eat it in an 8-hour eating window, and that you're going to leave this longer period of time for fasting. And I'm going to teach you how to fast so that we can see what your body's capable if we just take food out of the equation. And 2 things I found. 1, it was easier to do that than to get them to change their food. It was so much more simple. And 2, there was something that happened to their body. Like they literally would come into my office like a week after I taught them how to fast, and it was like a fat coat had been taken off of their body. And so I realized at that moment that there was this rest that was required. It's hard to get over addiction. It's hard to change your behaviors. A lot of people eat for emotional reasons. But if I allowed them to just eat whatever they wanted within a certain time period and then taught them different windows of fasting length, then it became effortless. And I think that's why fasting, honestly, has stayed in the zeitgeist, is because it gets easier with time. There's no diet or exercise or health plan that gets easier with time. It's like the more you do it, the more you're clicking into the body's ability to heal itself. And then it doesn't cost any money. And you don't, I always you don't need a guru. You don't need like a supplement. You don't need anything but your own belief in what your body is capable of doing. So this whole empowerment thing comes out of these fasting experiences, and people are finally getting results when they never got results before.
I'm looking forward to diving into all the health nuance and also the psycho, emotional, spiritual benefits of all this, because like you said, these baby steps that build on top of each other, even just shrinking the eating window, they feel the benefits of that. They have more power, willpower to be able to then stack and make another healthy decision. Their confidence in themselves is also growing, right? Yes. And so I would love for you to actually break down the 6 types of fasting, because they all have different implications for our health, and maybe we could run through those so people can have a context for the different options and benefits correlating.
So the first thing I always start with on that conversation is we have 2 metabolisms. Like this is the first mind-blowing thing. Like we've been over here trying to manipulate one metabolism. And this came from all these women that poured into my office, and they're like, my metabolism is slowed down. And I'm like, well, what is that? How do you know your metabolism is slowed down? But we have 2 metabolisms. One that gets turned on when we eat, and we call that the sugar burner system, and one that gets turned on when we don't eat, and we call that the fat burning system. In order to metabolically switch over the fat-burning system, you need at least 12 hours without food. So what that means is 12 hours where your blood sugar is either stable or it's dropping. Because when it drops, your intelligent body is like, oh, I don't sense any nutrients. I don't sense any blood sugar. It's like we're a hybrid car. Like, okay, I got to go over to the other fuel source. I'm going to start burning energy from the fat and the places that I've stored it years ago. So it starts burning fat to make something called a ketone, and that happens at 12 hours. So usually you're safely in this healing space at 12 hours. The longer you stay there, the more the body turns on these switches. And it's all based off primal design. Because at 13 to 15 hours, all of a sudden, your growth hormone goes up. Well, the reason growth hormone goes up is because it slows down the aging process. It accelerates the fat burning process so you can make more and more ketones. Your inflammation goes down because the body's like, we got to go find food. We can't deal with inflammation. We can't have you aging. We need to go find food. Then you all of a sudden go to 17 hours of fasting, and this term autophagy kicks in. And the intelligent body is like, wait a second. We haven't had nutrients. We haven't had glucose. We need to take care of any cellular part that's not good. We need to repair it. And so the intelligence inside the cell starts to take these worn out cellular parts and it either discards them or it repairs them. So at 17 hours, you go into this massive repair phase. You also, at 17 hours, the intelligence inside the cell will say, you know what? This is a cancer cell. This isn't a zombie aging cell. There's something not great with this cell. The cell's packed with heavy metals or toxins. And so it actually kills the cell, and that's called apoptosis, where it will get rid of the weaker cells because everything in the body needs to be stronger so you can go find food. At 24 hours, your whole microbiome in your gut resets and you get a flush of stem cells into your gut and bad bacteria gets left off and bacteria gets spread out, all in preparation for food. Your body's like, okay, when food comes in, we got to get some nutrients. We got to be able to grab what we can and make ourselves nourished again. At 36 hours, the body's like, okay, it's been 36 hours. Where else have I stored food? So usually it goes to places around the belly circumference. It goes into the liver, the visceral fat, the fat that kills you. It goes in because it's really trying to make you more efficient. At 48 hours, it resets your whole dopamine system because it's like, I got to motivate this person to go find food. So it improves the whole dopamine system so that you're motivated to go find food. And then at 72 hours, it's like, let's reset the immune system. We have to reboot the whole immune system. We have to flush the system with stem cells so that this individual, in order to survive, becomes the most physiologically best individual. So it goes to find food. And all of that happens in like 3 days. So you get to choose, what do you want? Do you want to just bring some inflammation down? You want to reset your gut? You want to detox your cells? You want to reboot the dopamine system? Which is why I always say there's 6 different flavors to fasting. You just decide which one you're going to do.